A really big thank you to Will and Dougal for their time today, and to the whole judging panel. There's a lot of work goes into these awards. I'm very, very grateful to all of them, and also to the SocEnv team who worked so hard on this throughout the year, particularly Sarah, who's put a huge effort into the event this year. So a massive thank you to everybody from me. Okay, so I think we can all probably agree it's been a really challenging year, but an interesting year as well. But it's even more important that we recognise those who've gone above and beyond to protect, preserve and enhance our environment. And this event is designed to act as a showcase and really celebrate the fantastic work that's done by the environmental professional community kind of day in and day out. A real inspiration and a very insightful group of individuals that I have the real privilege of working with every day. So first of all, a quick look at the agenda. We're going to have a look ahead to tomorrow, which is World Environment Day, and how we can all play a part in that. We're then going to mark 2 years since we first gave out our Employer Champion Programme at Kew. And again, I can't quite believe that it's 2 years ago that we were all together at Kew. That seems almost like yesterday. We've got 2 new Honorary Fellows of the Society that I'm really excited that we're going to introduce to you today. And then, of course, we've got our award winners for this year's awards. So obviously, I'm sure you'll all be really excited to know who they are. So a really packed agenda. We better get started, and I better stop waffling. So if you want to put anything on social media, please use the hashtag SocEnv Awards, all one word, and then we can make sure that we can see your posts there as well. Okay, so moving on to World Environment Day. So today is the eve of World Environment Day, and this is just one of the things that we're doing around WED. But to tell us more, I'm going to hand over to our World Environment Day champion and the Society Vice Chair, Dougal Driver.
Hi, Emma. Thank you so much. And I can't believe it's a year since we did this online, let alone 2 years at Kew. But hi, everybody. Nice to see you all again. And a familiar package we have today, the eve of World Environment Day, which is on the 5th of June every year. And this year, the theme is ecosystems restoration. So it's always relevant to the cause we all work for and believe in, but ecosystem restoration is the global theme from the United Nations, which I think plays into the very heart of what we're all about. So do get involved. The Society, along with our partners, has built a fantastic hub on the website. So do go to the SocEnv website and have a look at the hub. There's all kinds of resources in there. But I just wanted to thank some of our key partners, Canary Wharf Group, Saim, AIMA, Siemens, Skanska, Wilmot Dixon, who in particular have been helping put that hub together and make it such a collaborative and interactive exercise. There's videos on there. There's podcasts. You've even got me interviewing a chartered environmentalist about her work in ecology in Scotland. So have a look at what Tamsin has to say about being a chartered environmentalist. And there's lots of tips and case studies as well. And we want you to really get involved. So do please go onto that website and get more involved. It's tomorrow. We have this event on the eve so that you have all day to do that. I just wanted to end by, I'm going to pass back to Emma in a second, but we do want interactive Q&A. I'm going to be doing some Q&A later around some of the key moments. So do get your questions into the Q&A chat early, and that means I can absorb them and we can have a good interactive session and hear what you guys have to say. Thanks, Emma.
Thanks, Dougal, and thanks, Phil, for the whooping in the chat. Much appreciated. Yeah, I completely agree with Dougal. There's some fantastic resources in there. It's really worth having a look. And the EnvCast, which is our podcast, has recently been reported to be one of the best environmental podcasts in the UK. So very much would encourage you to go over and have a listen. Some fantastic interviews in there. Okay, so first of all, we're going to talk about our employer champions. And it was actually 2 years ago at Kew that we launched this programme. And since then, we've had a really wide number of employers who've demonstrated their commitment to professional registration. So to be one of our employer champions, you have to demonstrate how professional registration really links with your organization, but how as an organization you really embrace it in terms of your HR systems, whether that's through progression, performance, customer service, whatever it may be. And we ask organizations to every 2 years to prove to us that they are doing what they said they were going to do, whether they still committed to it. And I'm really pleased that kind of 5 of our original employer champions have just gone through that process, and you can see them all on the screen here, to kind of reaffirm that commitment to professional registration and share with us some of the things they've been doing over the last 2 years. Again, some really, really great examples. And then if we could just move on to the next screen, please, Elaine. This shows you all of our current employer champions, all doing great work and all really putting professionalism at the heart of their organizations, which is really, really encouraging to see. If you are an organization and you'd like to talk to us about this accreditation, then please drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you, and come and join. I hope you'd agree, a really great list of organizations who are doing some great work. So thank you to them. Okay, I'm now going to hand over to Will, who's going to tell you about our new Honorary Fellows. Will, over to you.
Emma, thank you very much, and Dougal before you, thank you both. Great introductions, and hello to everybody. And we don't want to get too tedious about this, do we, Emma and Dougal? But yeah, you're absolutely right. Hasn't time flown? It doesn't seem like 1 year ago, and indeed 2 years ago, that we were at Kew. But lovely to see everybody, though. I'm Will Pope. I'm the chair of the Society for the Environment. I am also a chartered environmentalist, an environmental chemist by training, environmental technology by profession, I suppose. I think I just want to say that how important it is that we do recognise the achievements of our environmental professionals and our environmental profession. I think it's important not only to the individuals we recognise today, obviously that's key, but it's also so important to the profession as a whole. It's important to our employers and stakeholders, but it's actually, if we get this right and we get it more right over time, it's important to the environment, because professionalism and good progress in environmental issues are so intangibly connected. Anyway, 2 sets of awards today. First of all, Honorary Fellow of the Society of the Environment, and then our normal annual awards for Environmental Professional of the Year, and indeed Newcomer Registrant of the Year. So first of all, let's deal with or introduce our new Honorary Fellows of the Society for the Environment. I've got 2 today to introduce. First of all, for the award of well, let's understand what Honorary Fellow of the Society for the Environment is. This is about recognising exceptional contributions made to protect and enhance the environment, and also contributions to the society itself. I mean, collectively, the cadre of FSEs that we have now represents a huge breadth of sectors, and indeed all the individuals are eminent and respected in their own right. They actually have a powerful collective voice, and together are really strong in influencing together at the highest levels. To become a non-FSE, you have to be nominated by one of our licensed members. Those are our members that actually make the awards that go onto our registrations, whether it's environmental practitioner, technician, or chartered environmentalist. And having been nominated, then those nominations themselves are judged, gone through in great detail and diligently by our Honorary Fellows panel. So thank you also to our Honorary Fellows panel for all the work that they've done. So first of all, I'm so pleased to welcome Ian Barker. So Professor Ian Barker, on FSE Chartered Environmentalist. Ian is Vice President Vice President of Environment at the Institute of Water. He's also Managing Director of Water Policy International. He's a non-executive director of the Society for the Environment and of the Water Industry Forum. He's a visiting professor at the University of Exeter Centre for Water Systems and president of the Earth Science Teachers Association. Ian has over 35 years experience in water and environmental management and regulation. He's worked in the UK water sector since before its privatisation in 1989, after which he moved to the environmental regulator. At the Environment Agency, Ian had overall responsibility for water planning, regulation and management, as well as fisheries, biodiversity and land management across the whole of England and Wales. Ian was also responsible for the water company's programmes of environmental investment totalling over £1 billion per year, and he also had oversight of their long-term plans for water supply security and drought management. In fact, Ian was key in the introduction of compulsory household water metering in areas of serious water stress in England. He's been an expert witness at numerous Lords and House of Commons select committees and in various inquiries on water and environmental issues. He's an expert advisor to the OECD, a founder member of the Global Water Governance Initiative, and he's worked in more countries than actually I think we've got time to list, but from relatively local Netherlands to very far afield South Korea and Brazil, from South Africa to China and Tanzania, where he's given advice to governments and various different parties on water and land management. Ian includes clients in his portfolio such as UNESCO, development banks, the UK government, other governments around the world, water companies and major companies and consultants. So I'd like to say congratulations to Professor Ian Barker, Chartered Environmentalist on FSE. You are now recognised on FSE as a dedicated and consummate professional in environmental activity, and the Society for the Environment recognises your achievements by hereby awarding you Honorary Fellowship. So congratulations, Ian.
Brilliant.
So this is where Phil would normally be doing whoop whoops, I think.
He's whooping in the chat, Will.
Oh, has he done it in the chat? Well done. Ian, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you for your very kind words, Will. I feel incredibly honoured and grateful to have been recognised by my peers, and I would like to thank colleagues at the Institute of Water for nominating me, and also colleagues in the other organisations for supporting that nomination. I have to say, I've reached a time in life where I'm not easily surprised, but I was very surprised when I heard that I'd been given this award, not least because I sit on the Honorary Fellows panel, and all of this was happening without me being aware of it. So it's good to see that the panel doesn't leak. And if I could just have a moment, Will, to explain that I was reflecting on this award and also my career, and I thought it could so easily have turned out very differently, because by profession I'm a geologist, and as I was graduating, all I wanted to be was a petroleum geologist, looking for oil and gas and exploiting hydrocarbons. So don't judge me, because that was in the last century, but I couldn't find a job in the oil industry that I wanted to do. So I thought, well, water's much like oil. And I went to work for Yorkshire Water. And the first job I was given was I had my very own drilling rig to go drilling boreholes around North Yorkshire. And the intention was to see how much water could I pump out of the ground without it drying the springs up. So it was a purely financial equation, forget about the environment, but is it actually worth pumping water out of the limestone to put into a river to suck out further downstream? And the main river I was responsible for potentially drying up has its birth at a beautiful limestone spring. It's home to brown trout, and was just about pristine. So I asked the dumb question, which I still ask, which is, how much water is it safe to pump out of this river before something bad happens? And nobody could answer. And just thinking about the theme of World Environment Day today, about ecosystem restoration, I was thinking, thank heavens we didn't go ahead with those boreholes, because now we'd be looking about how do you restore that pristine ecosystem to something like its original state, and it would be impossible. So fundamentally, isn't it better to protect and conserve ecosystems as far as possible? So then you don't have to go through the effort of restoring them, because you'll never get them quite as they were. But to do that, it means setting environmental limits, understanding what a safe limit is. And I was thinking particularly about water quality and water resources, but it applies to so much more as well. Setting a safe limit and enforcing those limits. And the problem for all of us as environmentalists is it appears to be cheaper to degrade and exploit the environment rather than to consider sustainable alternatives. And I think that's why collectively there is still so much more to do to look after what's left of the environment that is still fragile and precious and in a good state, as well as, in the theme of tomorrow, to restore what's currently degraded. So, Will, I was very honoured to have played a small part in all this, and even more honoured to have been recognised by colleagues at the Society of the Environment. So thank you, Will, and to everybody else who's had a hand in this.
Well, thank you very much, Ian. That's a wonderful story, and your story of, I suppose, poacher turned gamekeeper is a great one, and hopefully inspirational for others, and that you can use that as an inspiration. I'm sure you do in your work. I was just wondering, sort of building on that, Ian, how do you think that the Society for the Environment, and perhaps particularly SocEnv registrants, such as yourself being a CEnV, how do you think we can make the most beneficial impact? Is there a single action or line of thought or direction of travel that you would encourage people in your position to be going in?
I think perhaps the most important thing is to use the skills that we have as environmentalists to help others recognise that there is, this is the wrong analogy, more than one way of killing a cat, but there are alternative solutions, nature-based solutions, ways of going with the grain of nature to deal with some of the challenges that we face. And I recall the earliest piece of career advice I was given when I was working for the Water Authority, which was, Ian, you can never expect to have a career in the water industry because you're not an engineer. The assumption being that you needed to be an engineer because you need to build things in order to treat water and so on. Now, all of us are recognizing nature-based solutions are a way forward of dealing with poor water quality, supporting low flows in rivers, and managing flood risk. And that means environmentalists working alongside engineers as well as lots of other disciplines.
Well, that's a good point. It's a team game, yeah. And I noticed that Dougal's keeping an eye on the chat and the Q&A. Dougal, do you want to come in with anything that you've managed to pull out of the many contributions there?
We haven't got as many contributions as I would certainly like, so I do encourage people to get involved and ask your questions. Ian, I've just got one very, very quick question, and it's inspired by your choice at the start of your career. I think it's possibly a myth, but we maybe don't dispel the myth enough that you can have a good career in the environmental sector. You don't have to chase oil or banking or do these other things to have a good living. It is a career for all. It's an inclusive profession. Do you agree that it can be a good career and rewarding career in all aspects? And you understand what I mean by that compared to others?
Yeah, it depends how you define a good career. Dougal, for me, a good career is one where you look forward to getting up in the morning and going to work and you come to the end of the day and the end of the week feeling you've done something worthwhile. And I've been so lucky in the career choices I've made that I have always felt that way. And all through my career, I've kept learning, because you never understand everything or as much as you like. So I think it's possible to have a great career, as an environmentalist. And I think it's becoming more and more obvious that, as a career choice, it's absolutely essential. The critical thing is, for me, that environmentalists, of whatever stripe, are recognised as professionals with a contribution to make to some of the challenges facing the planet.
Thanks. Yeah, I agree. Well, I suspect we need to move on.
We do. We must keep going. Ian, lovely to see you. Many congratulations, and I'm assuming you'll say yes when I say, will you give your inaugural on FSE lecture at an event to be arranged in the future? And we very much look forward to hearing that. So
you're welcome. I'll just show off my certificate, because it's not on the wall yet, but I'm very proud of it.
And we're very proud it arrived in one piece.
Obviously, it was very well packed. Well done. Okay. Thanks for that. In which case, could I now turn to our second on FSE, and I'm delighted to welcome Rachel Skinner as an on FSA. Rachel Skinner on FSE is Executive Director at WSP and President of the Institution of Civil Engineers, as well as being the 156th President of ICE. Rachel is a Fellow of the Royal Academy of Engineering, a Chartered Engineer and a Chartered Transport Planner. She chairs the Infrastructure Carbon work stream of the Infrastructure Client Group, and was recently invited to join the external expert panel established to support the UK Department of Transport's Acceleration Unit, that is focused on a faster, better, and indeed a greener recovery beyond COVID-19. She's patron of Women in Transport, having been one of its founding board members since 2005. Indeed, in 2016, Rachel was listed as one of the Telegraph's top 50 influential women in engineering. And in 2017, she was named the most distinguished winner and best woman civil engineer at the Women in Civil Engineering Awards. Indeed, in 2019, she was confirmed by the Financial Times as one of the UK's top 100 women in engineering. Rachel has authored, scripted, hosted many publications and films on topics including Shaping Zero, which is about net zero carbon for infrastructure, Making Better Places, which is on placemaking, and future mobility. But actually, Rachel's got a particular skill in communicating and inspiring. And to give you an example, Rachel's inaugural address as the ICE president on 3rd of November 2020 was delivered entirely virtually, a break with tradition, and attracted over 2,000 people to watch her live across the world. So a fantastic achievement. Rachel's keen to build a legacy from her year as ICE president and to enable a sustainable and long-run movement towards net zero, for example, by creating a community of carbon champions to help inspire others with their carbon cutting leadership. So, as an excellent communicator, Rachel stands out for her passion, her enthusiasm, and ability to connect with people. And with those natural talents and her industry standing, we believe her appointment as on FSE as one of our Honorary Fellows will reinforce the sustainable leadership message to the civil engineering community and also help and inspire future SocEnv members. So Rachel Skinner on FSE, congratulations and lovely to meet you. So Rachel, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Will. Very much like we just heard really from Ian, I'm hugely humbled and pleased and indeed surprised, just like Ian, actually to receive this honorary fellowship today. It feels to me like quite a long journey actually since I first decided to home in on climate action as the theme of my presidency of the Institution of Civil Engineers a few years ago to where we are today. But at the same time, the reaction that I've had from the civil engineering, from the wider infrastructure community has just been staggering. It's been incredible, actually. Some people have reacted with, I guess it's been shock and surprise from people at all different stages of their career. They just genuinely hadn't connected the dots between mainstream civil engineering and the wider impact that they were actually having on the world around them, and particularly on the carbon emission side of things in terms of the wider environment. Whereas others, of course, have come through with just an expression of relief, really. People saying, finally, we're going to talk about this. We're actually going to get on with changing something, because I think there's been perhaps a pent-up frustration that perhaps just wasn't necessarily all that visible or noisy, but now suddenly it's almost like we've taken the cork out the bottle and okay, right, now let's do this. So yes, it's been an exciting year so far in my ICE role. I'm 7 months in, I've got 5 months to go, but it does feel that we've got a lot of real change that's starting to bubble. I was thinking actually as Ian was just talking there, it's funny because actually things could have turned out extremely differently for me as well. So I was a geographer by initial training who fell into civil engineering completely by accident when I really wasn't at all sure what I wanted to do when I grew up. Still not quite sure, but there we go. It seems to be going okay. But in a funny way now, it feels almost like I'm sort of coming slightly full circle, because I'm bringing some of the knowledge and the interest and the thinking that I know I learned about back in my original degree course. I've been carrying it with me for 25 odd years about sustainability and climate change and similar, and what it really means. And now there's a sort of a beautiful symmetry in terms of kind of helping people from the civil engineering and infrastructure professionals communities to kind of, broaden their awareness and knowledge across all sorts of different dimensions that perhaps they just hadn't been thinking about. So no, it's been pretty exciting, like I say, so far, and plenty more to run, I hope. So yeah, I guess World Environment Day Eve is of course the most appropriate moment of the year to receive this award. So no, thank you very much for recognizing that the change I'm trying to spark around climate action. There are already really good links between the ICE and the Society for the Environment, of course, and I'm very keen to see what more we can do together in future. So thank you very much, and I will also hold up my certificate, which also arrived in one piece. So it's all good. So thank you very much.
Oh, well done, Rachel. That was great. And how interesting your early career history, and with Ian followed different steps from different starts, but very interesting sort of step changes that you both had. Rachel, what message do you think you would give from what you've learned so far in your career and career development? What message would you like to give to younger members then developing their careers?
I think specifically around this message to do with climate action, I feel that the most important thing we could all do actually for those coming into our broader industries, but also, sort of much younger kids as well, is just explain to them how we are part of the answer to all these big world problems that we know they're worrying about. I've got 3 kids of my own. Oldest one is now 13 and a half. And her generation, I mean, they're pretty cross with us, actually, in terms of the fact that we haven't really got to grips with this. But the fact, if we could find a way to articulate that we really are trying to get onto this, and we really are trying to help to do the right thing at speed, okay, admittedly probably a little late to if we're being honest, but at least we are now getting on with it. I just feel that could just transform the purpose, really, in terms of what we do, the visibility, the relevance of what we all do, and I think that could be hugely beneficial if we could get that a lot more right.
Oh, that's great. I love the passion, and actually you tell your children I'm totally sympathetic. I think they should be cross with us. Actually, and now is the time to get on with it. So let me go, Dougal, again. Can I see what you've pulled out of the chat and the Q&A?
Sure, Rachel, many congratulations from myself. Finding out about what you've been doing is amazing. So I'm going to be making direct contact with you very soon, I'm afraid. So there's one big downside about being so high profile today, is that you're going to get a lot more connections. There's a question in the chat from Martin Ballard around, do you see civil engineers achieving project goals with softened natural solutions rather than hard engineered ones, very much related to what Ian was talking about earlier. Phil in the Q&A talks about last year there were some individuals linked in the awards to civil engineering, and is therefore there's something about engineers having to be seen to be excelling in environmental work. I think the two things are connected. There's Martin and Phil's point. I guess we're looking at trends here. So what are you seeing that, and how strong is it?
I am seeing exactly that beginning to happen, and I think it's quite an exciting change. I think for a very long time the world of environmental solutions or environmentally led solutions or mitigation very often as well around sort of major infrastructure schemes has been something which probably hasn't been as much of a front and center sort of activity as perhaps it should have been. I do think though that actually with this new interest in climate change, with this new understanding around the need to cut carbon and also to be able to process more carbon out of the atmosphere, this is where the nature-based solutions absolutely are beginning to come to the fore. That the challenge, I think, for the immediate, I guess, next year or two is that at the moment, we don't quite have the rules written right. We aren't necessarily encouraging all the right behaviours. We haven't quite got some of the metrics right in terms of, what counts for what and what are you allowed to, include and exclude and that kind of thing. And I think the sooner we can get some of that in place, the sooner we can get going a lot faster. No, I think it's very interesting actually. I genuinely do think I'm hearing much more in the last probably 18 months, 2 years than ever before within the sort of hardcore civil engineering community around a sudden realization that green and blue infrastructure in particular is in fact a type of infrastructure, first of all, but secondly, that the solution is not always concrete. The other realization I think which is beginning to take off is that sometimes the answer isn't to build something, which of course is quite a challenging point of view for some civil engineers. So it's just it's the right solutions for the right context, isn't it? It's going to be the key. But no, I think there is a moment coming where these issues are going to sort of meet in the middle. I hope it feels like the environmental side of things in particular is coming into the mainstream. And equally the civil engineering, sort of the heavy civils side of things, is beginning to realise that actually there's a little bit more to it than just, have you built the tallest, longest, most concrete containing, whatever it might be, solution that that might have been the thing that got you kudos in the past.
Will, can I have we got time for one more question, just briefly?
Yeah, if it's a quickie. Yeah.
So just picking up on your term of concrete, but concrete in its sort of philosophical term as well, in the sense that, dare I say it, I'm going to stereotype engineers being relatively risk averse because of what they do. And I think that it's quite easy to fall back on calculations than take nature-based solutions. And there aren't, you said we need, you even said it then, I think we're not quite there yet with the metrics. And I thought, I'm not sure you will ever be there completely with metrics for nature-based solutions. You will get a long way there. And I just wondered, therefore, can the behavioural, learned behaviour change as well as the understanding?
I completely agree. I think there's an awful lot of learning that needs to go on in terms of the range of solutions that are actually out there and what they can each contribute in terms of mitigating impacts that perhaps were largely invisible until very recently. Definitely. I do think though that there is also an appetite in the broader civil engineering community to recognise that yes, of course we do have codes and standards across all sorts of different aspects of what we do, but they are not intended as things that are quite literally fixed in stone. They're intended as things that are good guidance because they were written at the time where that was the best practice, but of course that shifts, and we've never considered these things from the point of view of, for example, safety and carbon together. We've generally written our codes and standards around safety from an engineering mindset, and now we're going to somehow have to find that balancing point again, I think, and recognise that there will be, trade-offs we need to make. Not to say that we don't want things to be safe, but obviously we need to make sure that we're also not, causing, well, now very visible harm in terms of what we do. So we need to get that right. But there are so many different solutions out there. That's the exciting thing for me, is we haven't explored this area properly yet. And it just strikes me there are just so many different avenues we can go down and so many different solutions that actually, that there are going to be some fairly easy wins out there when we really do get to grips with it.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks for indulging me there, Will.
That's all right, Dougal. Thank you. And thank you, Rachel. Some really insightful comments there. And actually with an optimistic angle as well. So thank you for that. So congratulations to both Ian and Rachel joining a very prestigious list of Honorary Fellows of the Society. Oh, and Rachel, I should have said also, I look forward to your inaugural on FSC lecture as well. I'm sure. So we won't let you get away without that. Let me now turn to the annual SocEnv Awards. And now these are for those professionals who basically have gone above and beyond in the last year, and demonstrably so. We've got two categories to present today. First of all, Registered Newcomer of the Year, and then the Environmental Professional of the Year itself. We had a record number of nominations this year, in actual fact, a record for the second year running. And I know that the judging panel found it so difficult to judge because the quality was so high. So actually, I need to also say thanks to the panel, the judging panel, and to all the work that the panelists did, particularly thanks to Sarah for fantastic organisation and making sure the panel knew what it was doing and when. And also special thanks to Dougal, because Dougal chaired the panel. So Dougal's also vice chair of the society, but Dougal, thank you for chairing the panel and chairing it so well. I'm going to read out the nominations. And then note, so I'm going to do it in the following order, read out the nominations, deal with any highly commended, if any, and then the winners. So first of all, Registrant Newcomer of the Year for 2021. Now this showcases outstanding environmental work and is specifically available to those who achieved their registration since the 1st of January 2020. And the award is designed to shine a light on those who are new, but have really hit the ground running, and they can be RNV Tech, RNVP, or CEnv. This is a really important category for us as a society, because let's face it, these people are the future. They are the future of the environment, and they're the future of the society. So in alphabetical order, the nominees who reached the final judging stage for 2021, Kirsty Ayres, CEnv, Optimization Portfolio Manager at Anglian Water Services and registered via iWater. Celia Barlow, CEnv, Principal Consultant in Ecology at E3P, registered via the Institution of Environmental Sciences. Emma Clark, CEnv, Energy, Waste and Sustainability Manager at Bradford District Care NHS Foundation Trust, registered via CIWM. Lewis Chenery, CEnv, Deputy Head of Environment and Sustainability at Buiga Energy and Services, registered via IEMA. Oliver Funnell, CEnv, Managing Consultant at Nova Ambiente, registered also by IEMA. Thomas Rogers, RMP, Safety, Health and Environmental Services Advisor at Murphy and Sons, registered via IEMA. Gemma Williams, CEnv, Ecology and Biodiversity Advisor at Welsh Water, registered via iWater. And Lara Young, CEnv, Group Carbon Manager at Costain, registered via IEMA. So first of all, I'm going to note we have one highly commended nominee. The judges decided to recognise just one nominee in this way out of very high standard of submissions. This nominee is a dedicated and enthusiastic person with a commitment to the protection of the environment demonstrated from a very young age. As Biodiversity and Ecology Advisor for Welsh Water, this nominee has progressed in recent years from RMV Tech to CEnv, so actually used that as a ladder of progression. And that has been demonstrably through both hard work and personal commitment. Recent successes include creation of in-house invasive non-native species strategies and developing biodiversity awareness tools. So the highly commended nominee for the 2021 Registrant Newcomer of the Year Award is Chartered Environmentalist Gemma Williams. Ecology and Biodiversity Advisor at Welsh Water, registered via iWater. So well done, Gemma. So fantastic. Congratulations to Gemma for that. Shall we now turn to the winner? Now, the winner, during their various roles, has held a number of research and innovation projects and trials to demonstrate the environmental and commercial viability of new energy efficient technologies. Furthermore, their work has helped in achieving a record-breaking 41% reduction in Costain Group's carbon footprint over recent years. As the environment and sustainability lead on the Network Rail Gatwick Station upgrade project, in 2019, they ensured environmental management was integrated across the whole contract. They've also undertaken this role on infrastructure projects such as London Power Tunnels, a 32-kilometre tunnelling project for high voltage cables for National Grid, and also for Countess Creek, a storm relief sewer project for Thames Water. Since 2017, our winner has been leading the development, the trial and subsequent management of Costain's resource efficiency matrix. Currently in the third year of its successful delivery, this group-wide initiative focusing on wastewater materials design and whole life carbon footprinting is enabling contracts to effectively measure and manage their environmental impact and improving the whole value chain's environmental performance. So the 2021 Registrant Newcomer of the Year is Chartered Environmentalist Lara Young, CM, Group Carbon Manager at Costain, and registered via the Institute of Environmental Management and Assessment. So many congratulations to Lara. I don't know that Lara was travelling today and is intending to be with us, but because she's travelling and with signal issues, she's actually produced a short video. So shall we watch the video?
Hi everyone, and thank you ever so much. Really wasn't expecting this, so quite a surprise. So thank you ever so much. I wouldn't be able to have achieved half the amount I have without the help and support from a number of you and a huge amount of people. So thank you everyone I've worked with, and very much looking forward to continuing to do so. Thank you again as well to the Society for the Environment, and yeah, just a huge massive thank you for everyone who shortlisted me and nominated me, so thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you for recording that, and well done, Lara. And we look forward to your Meet the Winner session, which Sarah will organise with you, and Q&A, take you through the Q&A there. That's fantastic. In which case, shall we turn to the Environmental Professional of the Year award itself? This is designed to highlight the very best work of chartered environmentalists, registered environmental practitioners, and registered environmental technicians. The nominees who entered the final judging stage for 2021 and in alphabetical order are Alan Asprey, Chartered Environmentalist, Director of CLS Energy and registered via CIWM, Martin Ballard, CM, Group Head of Environment at Wilmot Dixon Holdings and registered via IEMA, James Dixon, CM, Head of Sustainability, Newcastle Hospitals, registered via IEMA. Georgia Elliott-Smith, CM, Managing Director of Element 4 Group Limited, and also registered via IEMA. Dave Fairbrother, CM, Environment and Sustainability Manager at Bouygues Energy and Services, registered via IEMA again. Mark Jackson, CM, of Mechanical Engineering Technology at Kansas State University, registered via IOM 3. Lizzie Jones, CM, Head of CSR at Savills and registered via IEMA. Rami Kremesti, CM, Contract Manager at Key Process Limited, registered via SciWem. Daniel Erter, CM, Professor of Environmental Health Engineering at Missouri University of Science and Technology and registered via SOE. Diana Pound, Managing Director, Dialogue Matters, registered via SocEnv. Dan Redding, CM, Head of Sustainability at World Sailing and registered via IEMA. Claire Rogers, CM, Operational Unit Manager for the Northeast at the Environment Agency and registered via SciWem. Alan Tang, CM, Director of Sustainability at Kangaora, Homes and Communities and registered via IEMA. And Hong Wai On, CM, Commercial Head of Market Development, Novozymes and registered via iChemie. Now, interestingly, this is a hugely strong field. And actually, the panel debated this, I know, at length and have made no highly commended award. And the reason for that is that whilst there is one winner who stood out, if you like, or stands out in the panel's view, in actual fact, this standard of all applicants, all nominees was so high that the panel found it impossible to separate out, if you like, a single highly commended because the standard of all was so high. So this year, unusually, no highly commended. But the outstanding winner of the award has coordinated multiple international agencies on a project specific to marine biodiversity, co-leading a project with IUCN and the International Maritime Organization, working on a global initiative regarding biofouling and the threat of invasive species in the marine environment. He is very proud to coordinate the collaboration with UN Environment, the Clean Seas Initiative and World Sailing. And our winner has led World Sailing in the development and delivery of its sustainability strategy, which encompasses 56 targets ranging from LCA, biodiversity and carbon reductions to electrification, all linked to delivery of the SDGs. Sustainability Agenda 2030 is widely regarded as the most developed in sport and is being delivered to an organization whose customer base includes 70 million participants, 225 million fans, and 146 national authorities worldwide. Our winner was also appointed co-chair of the UNFCCC's Sport for Climate Action Framework to help over 210 signatories develop carbon reduction strategies in line with the Paris Agreement, creating a climate strategy specification for all members. He has also worked with a number of signatories on strategic climate action, ranging from the British Olympic Association to BBC Sport. And in 2020, our winners for work led World Sailing to win the highly prized Global Association of International Sports Federations Sustainability Award. So the 2021 Environmental Professional of the Year is Chartered Environmentalist Dan Redding, CM, Head of Sustainability at World Sailing and registered as a CM by the Institute of Environmental Management and Assessment. So many congratulations to Dan. Now, as it happens, Dan is currently enjoying a well-deserved holiday camping in Cornwall, and that means he has the issues of intermittent signals. So he has also produced a short video for us today. So, Sarah, over to you to play the video.
Hi, I'm sorry I can't make the online awards ceremony tonight, but I'm currently camping in the wonderful Cornwall with very limited internet access. I'd just like to say it's been an absolute honour and a privilege to receive the Environmental Professional of the Year Award. I'd firstly like to extend a huge thanks to all the people I've worked with, colleagues and friends over the last 15 years who have helped me get to where I am today. I'm currently Head of Sustainability at World Sailing, the International Sports Federation for the sport. It's been a challenging 12 months, to say the least, for a number of reasons, obviously, but the cancellation of events has meant that it's been extremely difficult to progress some of the sustainability initiatives that we had. Having said that, we've invested a lot on online learning in a number of environmental areas which have been translated into numerous languages which have been adopted worldwide. The sports sector has certainly started to refocus its energies on being more environmentally sustainable in the last 12 months. I'm co-chair of the UNFCCC Sports for Climate Action Framework, where we have about 160 sports organisations all looking to reduce their carbon impact in line with the Paris Agreement. I'd also like to say thanks to the network of chartered environmentalists. There's so many interesting people to talk to and so many best practice case studies from other sectors which are excellent to work from and to use in your own sector. So I'd just like to say thanks again, thanks to the Society of the Environment and IEMA. I look forward to meeting some of you at COP26 and also for taking any questions and hopefully answering them in the next week or so. So thanks and look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay, so thank you, Dan, and in absentia, congratulations, well done. And I think, Dougal, that's also going to be a dedicated Meet the Winner feature for the Q&A to come in the next week or 10 days or so. And with that, and with thanks to you all again, I'm going to hand back to Dougal to close the session. Dougal, it's over to you.
Thanks. Thanks, Will. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the interaction as well, and huge congratulations there to Dan. And we will make sure that it's very clear as to how you can engage in the Meet the Winners events that will be posted soon. And just I want to, as chair of the panel, I just wanted to thank the fantastic panel. Everyone. You need to be aware that the fairness, the diligence is exceptional from the panel. There's no stone that's left unturned in order to come to a decision, and there's however long it takes to get to the right position, it happens, and the quality is exceptional. And if you know someone, or if you are determined and feel to go again, and we would encourage that. Do pass the word around. It's a fantastic opportunity, and it's a real highlight of the year for the Society, and it showcases our work and all of your work. So I just want to mention again the World Environment Day tomorrow. Enjoy it. Have a great day. Go restore some ecosystems, or influence somebody else to restore some ecosystems. Literally every little does help. And I must admit, if I had a choice about doing it myself or influencing someone else, go and influence someone else, because you can always do it yourself the following day, and you probably will anyway. There are things like 30 Days Wild through the Wildlife Trust, which involves children and families. So it's not just about you as a professional, which I know can be difficult sometimes to pass on to other parts of your family, but there are other organisations that can do it for you. So do get involved and share. And we've also got various podcasts as well. I'd just like to add, as I'm closing off, my thanks to the organising team, and for Will and Emma for holding things together live, and huge congratulations to everybody. Thank you very much for attending, and we will see you all very, very soon.